We will start with Kirtan. Song name Madhuram Madhurebhyopi Kevalashtakam. Madhuram Madhurebhyopi Mangalebhyopi Mangalam Pavanam Pavanebhyopi Harirnamaiva kevalam Abrahmasthambaparyantam Sarvam maya mayam jagat Satyam satyam puna satyam Harir namaiva kevalam Saguru sapita chapi Samata bandhavopi saha Shikshayechet sada smartum Harir namaiva kevalam Nishvase nahi vishvasa Kadardho bhavishyati Kirtaniya mato balyat Harir namaiva kevalam Hari sada vashetatra Yatra bhagavata jana Gayanti bhakti bhavena Harir namaiva kevalam Aho dukkham mahadukham Dukkhat dukkhantaram yataha Kachatam vismritam ratna Harir namaiva kevalam Diyatam diyatam karno Niyatam niyatam vachaha Giyatam giyatam nityam Harir namaiva kevalam Trinakritya jagat sarvam Rajate sakalo pari Chidananda mayam shodham Harir namaiva kevalam Harir namaiva kevalam Harir namaiva kevalam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nittai Gaura Hari Bol. Krishna. We'll read the translations. Number 1, more sweet than all other sweet things, more auspicious than all other auspicious things, the greatest purifier of all purifying things, the holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Number 2, the entire universe, from exalted Brahma down to the lowly clump of grass, is a product of the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. The only thing that is reality, reality, again I say reality, the holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Number 3, that person is a true preceptor or a true father, a true mother, and a true friend also, only if they teach one to always remember the holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Number 4, there is no certainty when the last breath will come and put an abrupt halt to all one's material plans. Therefore, it is wise to always practice chanting from very childhood. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Number 5, Lord Hari eternally dwells in that place where truly exalted, spiritually advanced souls sing in the mood of pure devotion. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Number 6, aho, what a sorrow, what a great sorrow, more painful than any other misery in the world. Mistaking it as a mere piece of glass, the people have forgotten this jewel. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Number 7, it should be heard again and again with one's ears. It should be uttered over and over with one's voice. It should be perpetually sung and sung anew. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Number 8, it makes the entire universe seem insignificant as a blade of grass. It splendorously reigns supreme over all. It is full of eternally conscious divine ecstasy. It is supremely pure. The holy name of Sri Hari alone is everything. Hare Krishna. We'll go to the prayers. Prabhujis and Matajis. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरो वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्तु ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्ठिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपः कुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रये नमो ब्राह्मण्याय देवाय गोब्राह्मणाहिताय च जगद्धिताय कृष्णाय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मुकुं करोति वाचालं पंगं लंघायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम् ॐ अपवित्रो पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थं गतोऽपि वा यस्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्षं सबाह्यां तरं शुचिः श्रीविष्णु 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 Hare Krishna, Prabhuji's and Mataji's, Danvat Pranam. Today's chapter is chapter 17. We'll go to ISKCON, we'll go to Veda base. One second.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Krishna Mataji. Yeah, Prabhuji's and Mataji's, Dandavat Pranam. So today we will be doing Canto 6, chapter 17 from shloka number 20. So we will start reading the shlokas and doing the purports. There's about 20 shlokas. So we will read about 8 to 9 shlokas first, and then we will have a 20 minutes of discussion, and then we will do the other 10 shlokas. I hope that is okay. So I will start reading the first shloka, and then each one of you can volunteer to do the rest. Hare Krishna. गुणप्रवाह एतस्मिन् कस्सप्पाह कोन्व अनुग्रहः कस्वर्गनरकः को वा किं सुखं दुःखमेव वा. Translation: This material world resembles the waves of a constantly flowing river. Therefore, what is a curse and what is a favor? What are the heavenly planets and what are the hellish planets? What is actually happiness and what is actually distress? Because the waves flow constantly, none of them has an eternal effect. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings, Miche Mayara Vashe, Yacha Bhese, Kacha Habudavi Bhai. My dear living entities, within this material world, why are you being carried away by the waves of the modes of material nature? Jiva, Krishna Dasa, E Vishwasa Karle Ta Ara, Dukha Nai. If the living entity tries to understand that he is an eternal servant of Krishna, there will no longer be misery for him. Krishna wants us to give up all other engagements and surrender unto him. If we do so, where will the cause and effect of this material world be? There is nothing like cause and effect for the surrendered soul. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura says in this regard that being put into this material world is like being thrown into a mine of salt. If one falls into a mine of salt, he tastes only salt wherever he goes. Similarly, this material world is full of miseries. The so-called temporary happiness of the world is also misery, but in ignorance, we cannot understand this. That is the actual position. When one comes to his senses, when he becomes Krishna conscious, he is no longer concerned with the various conditions of this material world. He is not concerned with happiness or distress, curses or favors, or heavenly or hellish planets. He sees no distinction between them. Hare Krishna. We'll go to the next one. Anybody wants to read Mataji's, Prabhuji's?
Hare Krishna Mataji,
Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam.
Please go ahead.
Shall I read?
Yes, Mataji, please.
Text 21. Ekasrujati bhutani Bhagavan Atma Mayaya Yesham Bandhancha Mokshancha Sukham Dukkhancha Nishkalaha. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is one, unaffected by the conditions of the material world. He creates all the conditioned souls by his own personal potency. Because of being contaminated by the material energy, the living entity is put into ignorance and thus into different conditions of bondage. Sometimes, by knowledge, the living entity is given liberation. In Sattva Guna and Rajoguna, he is subjected to happiness and distress. Purport. The question may be raised, why the living entities are situated in different conditions and who has arranged this? The answer is that it has been done by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, without anyone's help. The Lord has his own energies. Parasya Saktir Vividhaiva Shruyate. And one of them, namely the external energy, creates the material world and the varieties of happiness and external happiness and distress for the conditioned souls under the supervision of the Lord. The material world consists of three modes of material nature: Sattva Guna, Rajoguna, and Tamoguna. By Sattva Guna, the Lord maintains the material world. By Rajoguna, he creates it, and by Tamoguna, he annihilates it. After the varieties of living entities are created, they are subject to happiness and distress according to their association. When they are in Sattvaguna, the mode of goodness, they feel happiness. When in Rajoguna, they are distressed, and when in Tamoguna, they have no sense of what to do or what is right and wrong. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Dandavat Pranam. Text, shloka number 22. Anybody wants to read Prabhuji's Mataji's?
Yeah.
Please go ahead, Prabhuji.
1 second, Mataji. I'll try to recite. Give me 1 second. I'm meditating.
Sure, Prabhuji.
न तस्य कश्चिद्दायिता प्रतिभो न ज्ञानति बान्धुर्न परो न च स्वः सम समस्य समस्य सर्वत्र निर्जनस्य सुखेन रागाकुटा इव रोषः. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is equally disposed towards all the living entities. Therefore, no one is very dear to him, and no one is a great enemy of him. No one is his friend, and no one is his relative. Being unattached to the material world, he has no affection for so-called happiness or hatred for so-called distress. The two terms, happiness and distress, are relative. Since the Lord is always happy, for him there is no question of distress. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Shloka 23. Anybody wants to read Prabhuji's Mataji's? I will read.
I'll take one more turn, Mataji, if you are okay.
Yeah, sure, Prabhuji, please.
तथापि च चकृति विसर्गये सम सुखा दुःखया हिताया बन्धाय मोक्षाय च मृत्य जन्मनो शरीरं समश्रिताये उपकल्पते. Although the Supreme Lord is unattached to our happiness and distress according to karma, and although no one is his enemy or favorite, he creates pious and impious activities through the agency of his material potency. Thus, for the continuation of materialistic way of life, he creates happiness and distress, good fortune and bad, bondage and liberation, birth and death. Purport Jadwala Mataji?
Chadvanti, Prabhuji. Chadvanti.
Yeah. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is ultimate doer of everything in his original transcendental existence, he is not responsible for his happiness and distress or bondage and liberation of conditioned souls. These are due to the results of the fruitive activities of living entities within the material world. By the order by the order of the judge, one person is released from the jail and another is imprisoned. But the judge is not responsible for the distress and happiness of these different people is due to their own activities. Although the government is ultimately the supreme authority, the justice is administered by the department of the government, and the government is not responsible for individual judgments. Therefore, the government is equal to all the citizens. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is neutral to everyone, but for the maintenance of the law and order, his supreme government has various departments which controls the activities of the living entities. Another example given in this regard is that lilies open or close because of the sunshine, and thus the bumblebees enjoy or suffer, but the sunshine and the sun globe are not responsible for the happiness and distress of bumblebees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Anybody wants to do 24? Hare Krishna. I will do 24. प्रसादयेन त्वां शापमोक्षय भामिनी यन्मनयसे हि असाधुक्तं मम तत् क्षम्यतां सति. Translation: O mother, you are now unnecessarily pleased. But since all my happiness and distress are destined by my past activities, I do not plead to be excused or relieved from your curse. Although what I have said is not wrong, please let whatever you think is wrong be pardoned. Purport: being fully aware of how the results of one's karma accrue by the laws of nature, Chitraketu did not want to be released from Parvati's curse. Nonetheless, he wanted to satisfy her because although his verdict was natural, she was displeased with him. As a matter of course, Maharaj Chitraketu begged pardon from Parvati. Hare Krishna. Anybody wants to do 25? Prabhuji's Mataji's.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Satyadev Prabhuji.
Mataji, sloka meer chautar.
Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti Prasadya Girisau Chitraketur Arindama Jagamasva Vimanena Pashyatosmayatostayo. Translation. Go ahead, Prabhuji.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sri Sukadev Goswami continued, O King Parikshit, subduer of the enemy. After Chitraketu satisfied Lord Shiva and his wife Parvati, he boarded his aeroplane and left. As they looked on, when Lord Shiva and Parvati saw that Chitraketu, although informed of the curse, was unafraid, they smiled, being fully astonished by his behavior. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you want to do one more, Prabhuji? I'll read the.
Yeah, Prabhuji. Yeah, Mataji.
ततस्तु भगवान् रुद्रो रुद्राणिम् इदमब्रवीत् देवर्षि दैत्यसिद्धानां पार्षदानां च शृण्वताम्.
Translation. Thereafter, in the presence of the great sage Narada, the demons, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka, and his personal associates, Lord Shiva, who is most powerful, spoke to his wife Parvati while they all listened. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Text shloka number 27.
If nobody is reading, shall I read?
Read
Mataji.
Mataji. Please read Mataji.
Text 27. Shri Rudra Uvacha. Drishtavatyasi Sushronī Harehe Adbhuta Karmanaha Mahatmyam Bhrutya Bhrutyanam Nispruhanam Mahatmanam. Translation. Lord Shiva said, my dear beautiful Parvati, have you seen the greatness of the Vaishnavas? Being servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, they are great souls and are not interested in any kind of material happiness. Purport. Lord Shiva, the husband of Parvati, told his wife, my dear Parvati, you are very beautiful in your bodily features. Certainly you are glorious, but I do not think that you can compete with the beauty and glory of devotees who have become servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, Lord Shiva smiled when he joked with his wife in that way. For others cannot speak like that. The Supreme Lord, Shiva continued, is always exalted in his activities. And here is another example of his wonderful influence upon King Chitraketu, his devotee. Just see, although you cursed the king, he was not at all afraid or sorry. Rather, he offered respect to you, called you mother and accepted your curse, thinking himself faulty. He did not say anything in retaliation. This is the excellence of a devotee. By mildly tolerating your curse, he has certainly excelled the glory of your duty and your power to curse him. I can impartially judge that this devotee, Chitraketu, has defeated you and your excellence simply by becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. As stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Tarorapi Sahishnuna, just like a tree, a devotee can tolerate all kinds of curses and reversals in life. This is the excellence of a devotee. Indirectly, Lord Shiva forbade Parvati to commit the mistake of cursing a devotee like Chitraketu. He indicated that although she was powerful, the king, without showing any power, had excelled her power by his tolerance. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. We will do shloka number 28 and then we will go to our discussion. Anybody wants to do 28, Mataji's, Prabhuji's?
Hare Krishna Mataji, I read.
Yeah, sure, Shilpa.
Shloka also, no Mataji?
Yeah, your wish, Mataji. It's okay.
Okay. Narayana para sarvena kutaschana bibhyati sarvoga varga narakeshava apitulyartha darshanaha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Devotees solely engaged in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, never fear any condition of life. For them, the heavenly planets, liberation, and the hellish planets are all same. For such devotees are interested only in the service of the Lord. Purport. Parvati might naturally have inquired how devotees become so exalted. Therefore, this verse explains that they are Narayana Para, simply dependent on Narayana. They do not mind reverses in life because in the service of Narayana, they have learned to tolerate whatever hardships there may be. They do not care whether they are in the heaven or in hell. They simply engage in the service of the Lord. This is their excellence. Anukulyena Krishnanuseedanam. They are liberally engaged in the service of the Lord and therefore they are excellent. By using the word Vrityanam, Lord Shiva pointed out that although Chitraketu provided one example of tolerance and excellence, all the devotees who have taken shelter of the Lord as external servants are glorious. They have no eagerness to be happy by being placed in the heavenly planets, becoming liberated, or becoming one with Brahman, the supreme effulgence. These benefits do not appeal to their minds. They are simply interested in giving direct service to the Lord. Thank you, Nitaji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Yeah, Hare Krishna. So we will discuss a little bit about what we have been reading so far, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. So in the purports, we saw a word called curse, and we saw that there is a dialogue happening between Lord Shiva and Parvati. Let's try to understand what this chapter is about, because there is a context in which this conversation is going on. So I might have to do a little bit summary of what Anandram Prabhuji did yesterday so that we understand the context, because there might be other devotees who have joined today. So this chapter is actually an answer to Parikshit Maharaj's question to Sukadev Goswami about who the demon Vritrasur is. So in the past few chapters, we have seen the story of Vritrasur, how he was born as a demon, how he was killed by Lord Indra and all that. So now Parikshit Maharaj wanted to know who this Vritrasur was and why was he born as a demon and what did he do in his past life that he was born as a demon in this life. So in an answer to that question, Sukadev Goswami is answering in this entire chapter. So he tells that Vritrasur was actually a Maharaj by the name of Chitraketu in his past life. And he had obtained the blessings of Lord Shankarshana, who is the Anantasesha or an incarnation of Lord Balaram. And he was also given an airplane by Lord Sankarshana. He was the king of the Vidyadhara planet, and he used to travel in this airplane that was given to him by Lord Sankarshana. So one day like this, he was traveling in his airplane, and then he happened to see a very peculiar sight. So he was traveling with these Vidyadhara women, and he was enjoying by chanting the names of the Lord. and he happened to pass over this Sumeru mountain. And there he saw the assembly. You can see the picture over here, Prabhuji's, Mataji's. So the peculiarity of the assembly that he was seeing was that there was Lord Shiva, and in front of him there were many exalted souls like Lord Brahma, the four Kumaras, then Manu and Bhrigumuni, Narad Muni. Everybody was there, and Lord Shiva was giving a discourse. There was no peculiarity in this, but the peculiarity was that Goddess Parvati was also there, and she was sitting on Lord Shiva's lap, and he was embracing her, and he was giving a philosophical discourse. So this seemed a little surprising and odd to Chitraketu Maharaj, who was looking from his airplane, and he was thinking that ordinary common men will also embrace their wives, but they do so in private. They don't do that in public. And Lord Shiva, being such an exalted soul and a devotee of Lord Vishnu, he was surprised how come he was having his wife sit on his lap while he was speaking on spiritual subject matters at that point of time. Actually, Chitraketu does not have any disrespect towards Lord Shiva. He knows what is the exalted nature of Lord Shiva, but his intent was that if common people were seeing Lord Shiva doing such an act, then they would misunderstand Lord Shiva, and probably they might even start defaming him and speaking bad words about Lord Shiva. And this would be considered as a Vaishnava aparadh, and that would have effects on the common people later on. So Chitraketu Maharaj didn't want this to happen. He wanted everybody to still respect Lord Shiva as he is respected today. He didn't want people to disrespect him because of this little incident that had happened. But but with this idea in mind, he unknowingly started criticizing Lord Shiva. He was speaking very loudly and boldly and repeatedly in this assembly of people which had all these exalted souls. And he started telling Lord Shiva many things. And those things were like he was saying, he was actually glorifying Lord Shiva, but in the glorification process, it seemed as though he was criticizing him also with a good intent, actually. So he was saying, Lord Shiva, you are the Loka Guru. That means you are the Guru of all the people and you follow all the Vedic instructions, and you are Dharmam Vakta, means the speaker of religion. You are Sharirinam Aste Mukhya, chief of all living entities, and you are Jatadhara Tivratapa, hair matted, and you undergo many austerities and penances. You are Brahmavadi Sabhapati, means president in the assembly of strict followers of Vedic principles, and you are Mahavrata Dharo. That means you are the master of all austerities. And you being such an exalted soul, all these he's telling to glorify Lord Shiva, and then he's saying, you having such great qualities, I am actually surprised that you are having Goddess Parvati sit on your lap when you are giving a spiritual discourse. So actually, Chitraketu Maharaj, it is very clearly written in the purports again and again that he had a very good intent in telling Lord Shiva that what you are doing might not be considered in the right way by other people. But in this process, he got so anxious that he started. There's a very fine line between telling and criticism. So it turned to be a criticism kind of thing. And he felt that he could give feedback to Lord Shiva because he thought that I am a devotee of Lord Sankarshana, and Lord Shiva is also a devotee of Lord Sankarshana. So that makes us both on the same plane. A plane means not the airplane, but the same level. So we both are on the same level. Then I can tell him that if he does anything wrong, then I can give a feedback to him. So he had this very little tinge of pride in Chitraketu, which he was not able to understand, and he did not understand his position, and he did not understand how greater a position of Lord Shiva was than when compared to his, and thereby he started giving this feedback to Lord Shiva. And it is told again, I repeat, that he had a good intent in giving this feedback. However, it came out as a criticism. And it was not very new for Lord Shiva to take criticism also. Because we know that from past stories that when Lord Shiva was sitting in the assembly and of Lord Indra, and Daksha happened to be passed in that assembly, everybody had got up to pay respects to Daksha, but Lord Shiva was very involved in meditation and he does not get up to give respects to Daksha, who happens to be his father-in-law also. And this happened unknowingly because he was in meditation. But Daksha becomes very angry and he starts insulting Lord Shiva and criticizes him. And at that point of time, the criticism that was given by Daksha was followed with a very bad intent. He had anger in his mind and he envied, there was jealousy, and the criticism had a background of all these negative feelings that were there in Daksha. And in this case, where Chitraketu Maharaj was criticizing Lord Shiva, he had a good intent because he didn't want other common people to misunderstand Lord Shiva's activity over there. He did not have any negative feelings of anger or disgust towards Lord Shiva. In fact, he had a positive feeling of respect towards Lord Shiva. And we also see another example in Shastras where criticism was done to Lord Shiva, Lord Krishna, by Shishupal in the Rajasuya Yagna of Yudhishthir Maharaj. So after all the battle of Kurukshetra was done and Yudhishthir Maharaj was doing the Rajasuya Yagna, he wanted to glorify Lord Krishna and honor him. So at that time, when the honoring was being done for Lord Krishna, Shishupal was not able to tolerate it because he was so jealous towards Lord Krishna for many other reasons. Because he wanted to marry Rukmini and Lord Krishna married Rukmini later. He had that in his heart, and also he knew that he would be killed by Lord Krishna after he did 100 offenses, which, however, did not stop him from doing any offense. He still kept on doing offenses, and he carried all this hatred towards Lord Krishna, and he was not able to tolerate when praises were being given to Lord Krishna in the Rajasuya Yagna of Yudhishthir Maharaj. And he started saying that he's only a mere cowherd boy, and why does he need so much respect and all that. So at that point of time, when criticism was being done for Lord Krishna, Lord Krishna did not retaliate impulsively and started saying bad words to Shishupal. He just kept quiet. And I think we should understand as common people, like when we also receive criticism from others, how we need to behave, which we will see again, how Chitraketu Maharaj also takes criticism later on from Goddess Parvati. Hare Krishna. Can you mute yourself, Sharda Mataji? Can you mute yourself, please? So I was talking about Lord Krishna's criticism, right? So if you see at that assembly, when this criticism of Lord Krishna was going on, all the people who were in the assembly, they actually closed their ears with their hands, because if we are hearing anything very bad, we don't want to hear it, right? So we automatically, that's a reflex action where we close our ears, and then if you don't like it, you actually walk away from the assembly also. So that happened in the assembly of in that Rajasuya Yagna. When that criticism was happening for Lord Krishna, everybody was so angry with what Shishupal was speaking that they actually closed their ears and they left the assembly. But something like that did not happen in the assembly of Lord Shiva over here. Lord Shiva did not say anything, and all the other exalted souls who were sitting in the assembly also did not say anything. If there was something wrong in the words that Chitraketu Maharaj had said, they would have behaved in a similar manner, meaning to say that they would have closed their ears and they would have left the assembly. But nothing like that had happened. So it shows that the way that Chitraketu Maharaj had told was with a good intent, but outwardly when speaking, he was speaking very loudly and boldly and repeatedly which seemed like criticism over there. Going forward, so listening to the words of Chitraketu Maharaj, Lord Shiva only smiled and he did not say anything because he did not feel any offense about it. But then Goddess Parvati was very offended by the words of Chitraketu Maharaj. Any chaste wife would feel very offended when her husband is being criticized by other people. And she thought that the criticism that was being given by Chitraketu Maharaj to Lord Shiva was a very big offense. And then she starts speaking and says that, are you a person who has been appointed to punish other people? Or have all others have forgotten dharma and you're the only one who remembers dharma, and that's the reason why you feel that you have the capability or the ability or the eligibility basically to criticize other people. So everybody else, all the exalted souls who are sitting here, the four Kumaras, Lord Brahma, Lord Narada, and Bhrigu Muni, and also Kapila Muni, all these people who are sitting here and who are not saying anything, are they against dharma, or have they forgotten dharma? And you're the only one who remembers dharma, and that's the reason why you're criticizing. So she started speaking in this way. And she said, you have surpassed demigods also, and thereby you should be punished. You don't deserve the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord because you are very proud and you are criticizing uh, you're criticizing senior Vaishnavas. So you don't deserve the lotus feet of the Lord. So become an Asura son. So she cursed Chitraketu to become an Asura, who he became Vitrasura in the next lifetime. So here Prabhupada says that the curse that Parvati Amma had given Chitraketu Maharaj was just like a punishment that a mother would actually give a son when he does something wrong. And it is also told that this entire incident was being actually done by the intervention of the Supreme Lord. So Lord Sankarshana was actually missing the association of Chitraketu Maharaj. He actually wanted Chitraketu Maharaj to leave the Vidyadhara planet and come back to him. However, Chitraketu Maharaj had this slight tinge of pride in him that he was a devotee of the Lord and he had the blessings of the Lord, and he could correct if some other Vaishnavas had done small mistakes. Like that, he had this little tinge of pride. So, in order to purify Chitraketu Maharaj, this entire incident was being done by the order of the Lord, so that the pride of Chitraketu Maharaj could be nullified, and that would purify him so that he could go back to the Lord. So after the curse of goddess Parvati was given, Chitraketu Maharaj gets down from his airplane, and then he goes to goddess Parvati and he tells a few things that he understands philosophically. That is what we had started reading from today, the shloka number 20, Gune Pravaha Etasmin. So he says to goddess Parvati that I will accept your curse. So in this material world, we have both happiness and distress. And we experience them based on our own past deeds or our past karma. In the samsara chakra that we have, what is distress and what is happiness and what is curse and what is blessing? Everything is but temporary. We can't be very happy today that we have got some wealth or anything like that, or we can't be in distress today because we have got a disease, because all these are only temporary. Tomorrow you might get happiness, but then you need to understand that that happiness is also temporary and it might go away, and distress is also temporary. So whatever happiness or distress that we are getting is because of the guna pravaha. So the gunas, we know the three gunas, right? The modes of material nature, which are those of ignorance, goodness, and passion. And pravaha means like a flow. There is a flow of these gunas. So as you see in the picture, they are showing the waves that will come and then go. So the happiness and the distress will come and go like that. And we are experiencing those happiness or distress because of the effect of these gunas. And we are in this material world to experience that. So Lilanand Prabhuji was telling in one of the classes the other days that we have come into this material world to understand that there will be no happiness without the presence of Krishna. And that's the reason why Lord Krishna has sent us into this material world that he has created for us, so that we understand that there is no happiness without the presence of Krishna. But then coming to this material world also, we are influenced by Maya, and then with little happiness, we think that this is the best place to stay, and we are not understanding our ultimate goal is to go back home to Godhead. We have forgotten our connection with Krishna. So this material world is actually made in order to suffer, so that we remember Krishna. But then we forget all that. And today's purport also, we read that this material world is like a salt mine, right? So the analogy is that if you see the picture over here, that is a salt mine over there, and everywhere you will see salt only. It is very hard to find sugar heap in one corner of the salt mine, right? So in the same way, this material world is made to suffer, or you will find distress everywhere. So it is very hard to find happiness in this material world, is what is being explained in the purport. And the Lord is actually beyond dualities. He is neutral to everybody. He is like a judge, or he is like the government, to speak of in our material world. He is not showing favoritism to anybody. He is not saying that I'm going to have sunshine on this house but not on this house, or I'm going to have rainfall on this city and not on that city. He is neutral and he's equivalent to all. And by Lord's external energy, he creates the material world, which is this MW that is shown over here, Prabhuji's and Mataji's. And then he has a variety of happiness and distress for the conditioned souls. So with his sattva guna, it was given in the shloka number 22 or 23. With his sattva guna, the Supreme Lord maintains the material world, and with the rajoguna, or the passion, he creates the material world, and with the tamoguna, or the mode of ignorance, he annihilates the material world. And the varieties of happiness and distress for the conditioned souls are sattva guna is the happiness that you experience because of your mode, and rajoguna, which is you usually experience distress because of this, and tamoguna is no sense of what to do or what is right and what is wrong. So Chitraketu Maharaj is talking in this way to Mother Parvati and is saying that I don't hold anybody responsible for my acts. It is only because of the order of the Supreme Lord that this is happening. So I don't hold you also responsible for cursing me. It is only because of my past deeds that this might be happening, and which is kind of true only because of the slight tinge of pride that he had, and because he was a devotee, Lord was showing this extra mercy to him so that it can be nullified and purified, and he can go back home to Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita also, we have the shloka 3.27. Prakriteh kriyamanani guneh karmani sarvashah ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Translation: the spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So here it is clearly told that the spirit soul is actually pure when the spirit soul is with the Supreme Lord. But when it comes to the earth, then the influence of Maya begins. So Maya is everywhere. We were going through that line in the bhajan also that we did today in Kevalashtakam. Sarvam Maya Mayam Jagat. So wherever that Maya is there, that influence of the material modes will come into picture, because of which we will be thinking that I am the doer. I am the one who is doing all these activities. And because of which I might be facing the effect, the cause and effect of whatever I'm doing. But seldom the spirit soul understands that everything is being done by the order of the Lord. And it is clearly told here that if a person does not understand that it is being done by the order of the Supreme Lord, he is considered as an ahankara or a pride person. So that is the actual definition of ahankara, or the heights of ahankara maybe. So we would think that is a very subtle thing to call somebody pride or somebody proud, but ahankara means that forgetting your relationship with God and thinking that you are doing everything. And Vimudhatma means a foolish person, somebody who does not understand this thing that God is the person who is doing everything, is a foolish person, is what is being mentioned over here. And in this way, Chitraketu Maharaj is speaking to Parvati. And then in sloka number 24, he says, I do not plead to be relieved from the curse. So please pardon for whatever you think was wrong. So he says that my intent was good only. I did not have any intent to disrespect Lord Shiva. Rather, I had an intent to respect him only. My concern was that other people might disrespect him. But by the way I said, or whatever I said, probably has caused pain to you. So I will gladly accept the curse. So that is what Chitraketu Maharaj had told Parvati Ma. And after that, the shloka numbers 25 to 35, there is a conversation that happens between Lord Shiva and Parvati. Chitraketu Maharaj has spoken to Parvati Ma. He says, I'll accept the curse. And then he leaves. After that, there is a conversation. So, Prabhuji's Mataji's, we will continue. We will continue reading. I'm sorry. I'm not able to find this. Yeah, sorry. We'll go to the... Sorry about that. I don't know what happened over here. So I think we read till 28. So we will do from 29 now. 25. Narayana Parasarve. That is what we had stopped with. So we will read the next one. Hare Krishna. Anybody wants to go forward with 29? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji's Mataji's. Padma Mataji, you want to read Mataji?
Yeah. If nobody is reading, I want to read.
Go ahead, Mataji.
Text 29. Dehinam deha samyogat dvandvanishvara leelaya sukham dukkham rutirjanma shaponugraha evacha. Translation and purport. Because of the actions of the Supreme Lord's external energy, the living entities are conditioned in contact with material bodies. The dualities of happiness and distress, birth and death, curses and favors are naturally byproducts of this contact in the material world. In Bhagavad Gita, we find Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sa characharam. The material world works under the direction of the goddess Durga, the material energy of the Lord, but she acts under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is also confirmed with the Brahma Samhita 5.44. Srishti Sthiti Pradaya Sadhana Satkir Eka Chayeva Yasya Bhuvanani Bhibarti Durga. Durga, the goddess Parvati, the wife of Lord Shiva, is extremely powerful. She can create, maintain, and annihilate any number of universes by her sweet will. But she acts under the direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna, not in super personality of Godhead, Krishna, not independently. Krishna is impartial, but because this is the material world of duality, such relative terms as happiness and distress, curses and favors are created by the will of the Supreme. Those who are not Narayanapara, pure devotees, must be disturbed by this duality of the material world. Whereas devotees who are simply attached to the service of the Lord are not at all disturbed by it. For example, Haridas Thakura was beaten with cane in 22 bazaars, but he was never disturbed. Instead, he smilingly tolerated the beating. Despite the disturbing qualities of the material world, devotees are not disturbed at all because they fix their minds on the lotus feet of the Lord and concentrate on the holy name of the Lord. They do not feel the so-called pains and pleasures caused by the dualities of this material world. Hare Krishna Mataji.
30.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandat Pranam Mataji.
Hare Krishna Saraswati Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji.
Aviveka krita pumso hai artha beda ivatmani guna dosha vikalpascha bihid eva srajivat kritaha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As one mistakenly considers a flower garland to be a snake or experiences happiness and distress in a dream, so in the material world, by a lack of care consideration, we differentiate between happiness and distress, considering one good and the other bad. Purport. The happiness and distress of the material world of duality are both mistaken ideas. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya 4.176, it is said, Dvaite Bhadra Jnana Sabha Manodharma E Bhala E Manda E Sabha Brahma. The distinction between happiness and distress in the material world of duality are simply mental conquest. For the so-called happiness and distress are actually one and the same. They are like the happiness and distress in dreams. A sleeping man creates his happiness and distress by dreaming, although actually they have no existence. The other example given in this verse is that a flower garland is originally very nice, but by mistake, for want of mature knowledge, one may consider it a snake. In this connection, there is a statement by Prabodhananda Saraswati, Vishwam Purna Sukayate. Everyone in this material world is distressed by material conditions. But Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati says that this world is full of happiness. How is this possible? He answers, yet Karunya Kataksha Vaibhavatam Tam Gauram Eva Stumaha. A devotee accepts the distress of this material world as happiness only due to the causeless mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By his personal behavior, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed that he was never distressed but always happy in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. One should follow in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and engage constantly in chanting the Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Then he will never feel the distress of the world of duality. In any conditions of life, one will be happy if he chants the holy name of the Lord. In dreams, we sometimes enjoy eating sweet rice and sometimes suffer as if one of our beloved family members had died. Because the same mind and body exist in the same material world of duality, when we are awake, the so-called happiness and distress of this world are no better than the false, superficial happiness of dreams. The mind is the via medium in both dreams and wakefulness, and everything created by the mind in terms of sankalpa and vikalpa, acceptance and rejection, is called Manodharma or mental conquest. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Saraswati Mataji. Hare Krishna. 31. Anybody wants to read?
Read. Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Mudva Hatam Brunam Jnana Vairagya Viryanam Nahi Kaschid Vyapasrayaha. The persons engaged in devotional service to Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, have naturally perfect knowledge and detachment from this material world. Therefore, such devotees are not interested in so-called happiness or so-called distress of this world. Here is the distinction between a devotee and a philosopher who speculates on the subject matter of transcendence. A devotee does not need to cultivate knowledge to understand the falsity or temporary existence of this material world. Because of his unalloyed devotion to Vasudeva, this knowledge and detachment are automatically manifested in his person. As confirmed elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.7. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayatyasu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yada Haituka. One who engages in unalloyed devotional service to Vasudeva, Krishna automatically becomes aware of his material world and therefore he is naturally detached. This detachment is possible because of his high standard of knowledge. The speculative philosopher tries to understand that this material world is false by cultivating knowledge. But this understanding is automatically manifested in the person of a devotee without separate endeavor. The Mayavadi philosophers may be very proud of their so-called knowledge, but because they do not understand Vasudeva Sarvamiti. They do not understand the world of duality, which is a manifestation of Vasudeva's external energy. Therefore, unless the so-called Jnanis take shelter of Vasudeva, their speculative knowledge is imperfect. Yenyena Vindaksha Vimukta Maninaha. They simply think of becoming free from the contamination of the material world. But because they do not take shelter at the lotus feet of Vasudeva, their knowledge is impure. When they actually become pure, they surrender to the lotus feet of Vasudeva. Therefore, the absolute truth is easier to understand for a devotee than for jnanis who simply speculate to understand Vasudeva. Lord Shiva confirms this statement in the following verse. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Anybody wants to do 32?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Giriraj Prabhuji.
Text 32. Sloka recite Jayana Mataji.
Jayan Prabhuji. Jayan.
Yavadgaram Darshan Prabhuji. Naham virincha na kumara narado na brahmaputra munaya sureshaha vidamayasye hitam amshakam saka natat swarupam prutak ishamanina. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Neither I, Lord Shiva, nor Brahma, nor the Ashwini Kumaras, nor Narada, or the other great sages who are Brahma's sons, nor even the demigods can understand the pastimes and personality of the Supreme Lord. Although we are part of the Supreme Lord, we consider ourselves independent, separate controllers, and thus we cannot understand his identity. Purport. Brahma Samhita 5.33 states, Advaitam Achyutam Anadi Manantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayavvanam Cha. वेदेषु दुर्लभमदुर्लभमात्मभक्तौ गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, who is the original person. He is absolute, infallible, and beginningless. And although expanded into unlimited forms, he is still the same original person, the oldest person, who always appears as a fresh youth. The eternal, blissful, all knowing forms of the Lord cannot be understood even by the best Vedic scholars, but they are always manifest to pure, unallied devotees. Lord Shiva places himself as one of the non devotees who cannot understand the identity of the Supreme Lord. The Lord, being Ananta, has an unlimited number of forms. Therefore, how is it possible for an ordinary common man to understand him? Lord Shiva, of course, is above the ordinary human beings, yet he is unable to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Shiva is not among the ordinary living entities, nor is he in the category of Lord Vishnu. He is between Lord Vishnu and the common living entity. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. 33. Anybody wants to volunteer?
Hare Krishna Mataji, then Vatran.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Srivalli Mataji, please read Mataji.
Yeah. Shloka Purana. Yeah.
Nishta Mataji.
Na hasyasti priyaha kaschigna priyaha swaha paropi va atmavad sarva bhutanam sarva bhuta priyo harihi. Yeah. Purport, a translation. He holds no one very dear and no one inimical. He has no one for his own relative and no one is alien to him. He is actually the soul of all living entities. Thus, he is the auspicious friend of all living beings and is very near and dear to all of them. Purport, shall I read? Yeah.
Yes, Mataji. Yes.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead in his second feature is the supreme super soul of all living entities. As one self is extremely dear, the super self of the self is still more dear. No one can be the enemy of the friendly super self, who is equal to everyone. Relationships of dearness or enmity between the Supreme Lord and the living beings are due to the intervention of the illusory energies. Because the three modes of material nature intervene between the Lord and the living beings, these different relationships appear. Actually, the living entity in his pure condition is always very near and dear to the Lord, and the Lord is dear to him. There is no question of partiality or enmity.
Thank you so much, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
34 to 35. Hare Krishna.
Shall I continue, Mataji?
Yeah, continue, Mataji.
Okay, Hare Krishna. तस्य छायां महाभागास् चित्रकेतु प्रियोऽनुगः सर्वत्र समदृक्सन्तो हि आहं चैवाच्युतप्रियः तस्मान्न विस्मयः कार्यः पुरुषेषु महात्मसु महापुरुषभक्तेषु सान्तेषु समदर्शिषु. Translation. This magnanimous Chitraketu is a dear devotee of the Lord. He is equal to all the living entities and is free from attachment and hatred. Similarly, I am also very dear to Lord Narayana. Therefore, no one should be astonished to see the activities of the most exalted devotees of Narayana, for they are free from attachment and envy. They are always peace. They are always peaceful and they are equal to everyone. Purport. It is said, Vaishnavera Kriya Mudra Vigneha Na Bhuja Na Bhujaya. One should not be astonished to see the activities of exalted, liberated Vaishnavas, as one should not be misled by the activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One should also not be misled by the activities of his devotees. Both the Lord and his devotees are liberated. They are on the same platform. The only difference being the Lord is the master and the devotees are servants. Qualitatively, they are one and the same. In Bhagavad Gita 9.29, the Lord says, Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha e bhajanti tu mam bhakta mayi te teshu chapyaham. I envy no one, nor I am partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and am also friend to him. From this statement by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is clear that the devotees of the Lord are always extremely dear to him. In effect, Lord Shiva told Parvati, both Chitraketu and I are always very dear to the Supreme Lord. In other words, both he and I are on the same level as servants of the Lord. Hare Krishna. We are always friends, and sometimes we enjoy joking words between us. When Chitraketu loudly laughed at my behavior, he did so on friendly terms, and therefore there was no reason to curse him. Thus, Lord Shiva tried to convince his wife Parvati that her cursing of Chitraketu was not very sensible. Hare Krishna. Here is the difference between male and female that exists even in the higher statuses of life. In fact, even between Lord Shiva and his wife, Lord Shiva could understand Chitraketu very nicely, but Parvati could not. Thus, even in the higher statuses of life, there is a difference between the understanding of a male and that of female. It may be clearly said that the understanding of a woman is always inferior to the understanding of a man. In the Western countries, there is now agitation to the effect that man and woman should be considered equal, but from this verse, it appears that woman is always less intelligent than man. So here, actually, Mataji,
Yes, ma'am.
our answer usually we ask. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is clear that Chitraketu wanted to criticize the behavior of his friend Lord Shiva because Lord Shiva was sitting with his wife on his lap. Then,
Yes.
too, Lord Shiva wanted to criticize Chitraketu for externally posing as a great devotee but being interested in enjoying with the Vidyadhari women. These were all friendly jokes. There was nothing serious for which Chitraketu should have been cursed by Parvati. Upon hearing the instructions of Lord Shiva, Parvati must have been very much ashamed for cursing Chitraketu to become a demon. Mother Parvati could not appreciate Chitraketu's position and therefore she cursed him. But when she understood the instructions of Lord Shiva, she was ashamed. Hare Krishna. Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Hare Krishna.
No,
Shloka.
right?
Mm.
Canto 6.
Yeah.
Sri Sukam Vacha Iti Sritva Bhagavata Sivasyomaabhibhishitham Bhuvavas Antadhirajan Devi Vigata Vismayaha. Sri Sukadev Goswami said, O king, after hearing this speech by her husband, the demigoddess Ma, the wife of Lord Shiva, gave up her astonishment at the behavior of King Chitraketu and became steady in intelligence. Purport Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Tagore remarks that the word Santadi means Sviya Purva Swabhava Smrityatya. When Parvati remembered her former behavior in cursing Chitraketu, she became very much ashamed and covered her face with the skirt of her sari, admitting she was wrong in cursing Chitraketu.
Hare Krishna. 37. I will.
Iti Bhagavato Devya Pratisaptumala Malantamaha. Sorry.
Murdhna sa.
Murda sa jagve sa murdna sa Jahvehes sapam yetavat sadhu lakshanam. The great devotee Chitraketu was so powerful that he was quite competent to curse Mother Parvati in retaliation. But instead of doing so, he very humbly accepted the curse and bowed his head before Lord Shiva and his wife. This is very much to be appreciated as the standard behavior of Vaishnava. Upon being informed by Lord Shiva, Mother Parvati could understand that she was wrong in cursing Chitraketu was so exalted in his character that in spite of being wrongly cursed by Parvati, he immediately descended from the airplane and bowed his head before the mother, accepting her curse. This has already been explained. Narayana para sarvena kutaschana vibhyati. Chitraketu very sportingly felt that since the mother wanted to curse him, he could accept this curse just to please her. This is called Sadhu Lakshana, the character of a sadhu or a devotee. As explained by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Yunadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Savishta. A devotee should always be very humble and meek and should offer all respect to others, especially to superiors. Before protected by the Supreme Personality of the Godhead, a devotee is always powerful, but a devotee does not wish to show his power unnecessarily. However, when a less intelligent person has some power, he wants to use it for sense gratification. This is not the behavior of a devotee. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Shloka 38. Krishna. I will read. Jagye tvastur dakshinagnav danavim yonimashritah vritra iti abhivikhyato gnana vignana samyutah. Translation: being cursed by Mother Durga, Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, that same Chitraketu accepted birth in a demoniac species of life. Although still fully equipped with transcendental knowledge and practical application of that knowledge in life, he appeared as a demon at this fire sacrifice performed by Twasta, and thus he became famous as Vritrasura. Purport: the word yoni is generally understood to mean jati, family, group, or species. Although Vritrasura appeared in a family of demons, it is clearly said that his knowledge of spiritual life still existed. Gnana Vignana Samyutaha. His spiritual knowledge and the practical application of that knowledge in life were not lost. Therefore, it is said that even if a devotee falls down for some reason, he is still not lost. Yatra kva vabhadram abhud amusya kim ko vartha apto bhajatam swadharmataha. Once one is advanced in devotional service, his spiritual assets are never lost under any circumstances. Whatever spiritual advancement he has achieved continues. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Even if a bhakti yogi falls, he takes birth in a rich family or family of brahmanas, in which he again starts devotional activities from the point where he left off. Although Vritrasura was known as an asura or demon, he did not lose his consciousness of Krishna or devotional service. Shloka 39.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Te sarvam akyatam yenmam tvam paripritchasi vritrashyasura jatescha karanam bhagavan mate. Translation: my dear King Parikshit, you inquired from me how Vritrasura, a great devotee, took birth in a demoniac family. Thus, I have tried to explain to you everything about this.
You can do this also, Mataji, Saraswati.
Itihasam imam punyam चित्रकेतोर्महात्मनः माहात्म्यं विष्णुभक्तानां श्रुत्वा बन्धाद् विमुच्यते. Translation: Chitraketu was a great devotee, Mahatma. If one hears this history of Chitraketu from a pure devotee, the listener also is freed from the conditional life of material existence. Purport: the historical incidents in the Puranas, such as the history of Chitraketu explained in the Bhagavata Purana, are sometimes misunderstood by the outsiders or non-devotees. Therefore, Sukadev Goswami advised that the history of Chitraketu be heard from a devotee. Anything about devotional service or the characteristics of the Lord and his devotee must be heard from a devotee, not from a professional reciter. This is advised herein. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, secretary, also advised that one learn the history of Srimad Bhagavatam from a devotee. Yaha Bhagavata Pada Vaishnavera Sthani. One should not hear the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam from professional reciters, or else they will not be effective. Quoting from Padma Purana, Sri Sanatana Goswami has strictly forbidden us to hear about the activities of the Lord and his devotees from the mouths of non-devotees. Avaishnava Muko Granam Putam Hari Katamritam Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam Sarpochistam Yatha Payaha. One should not hear anything about Krishna from a non-Vaishnava. Milk touched by the lips of a serpent has poisonous effects. Similarly, talks about Krishna given by a non-Vaishnava are also poisonous. One must be a bona fide devotee, and then he can preach and impress devotional service upon his listeners. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. This is the last shloka. Yaetat prataruthaya shraddhaya vagyatah pathet itihasam harim smritva sayati paramam gatim. Translation: one who rises from bed early in the morning and recites this history of Chitraketu, controlling his words and mind and remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will return home back to Godhead without difficulty. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 6th canto, 17th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Mother Parvati Curses Chitraketu. Hare Krishna. So just one last thing I wanted to add. So in the story that we were discussing, so after Chitraketu had left, I said there was a conversation that happened between Lord Shiva and Goddess Parvati. So in that, Lord Shiva tells Goddess Parvati, Parvati, you are very beautiful, but the beauty of the devotee has surpassed your beauty. So if you can see, Chitraketu Maharaj is not even affected even a little bit by the curse that you have given him. And he mentions all the things that Chitraketu Maharaj had told Goddess Parvati. He was not afraid. He offered you respect. He called you mother, and he thought himself as faulty and said nothing in retaliation except that I accept your curse. To tell you the truth, Maharaj Chitraketu had enough power that he could curse you back or reverse the curse also. But he did not do anything like that because he's showing respect to you. And that is one thing that Lord Shiva had mentioned. And the other thing is he told about Narayana Parasarve. That means the devotee is glorious in whatever condition he is. Maybe he's in hell or heaven or in liberation or wherever he is only hankering for the service of the Lord. And thereby he does not care whether he gets a happiness or a distress or a blessing or a curse. So he's glorifying Chitraketu Maharaj as a devotee. And the third point Lord Shiva tells is that, see, both Chitraketu Maharaj and myself are on the same plane. If you think of it like I am a devotee of Sankarshana, and Chitraketu Maharaj is also a devotee of Lord Sankarshana, then I could have also criticized him, saying that, why are you traveling in an airplane with Vidyadhara women? I could have also said that, but he was actually chanting the glories of the Lord while he was traveling in the airplane. And it was only a friendly exchange that we were having between the two of us. It was only a joking thing that he had mentioned, and there is no need to become too serious about it and curse him. So in this way, Lord Shiva tells all these things to Mother Parvati, and upon hearing this, Mother Parvati is ashamed that she had cursed Chitraketu Maharaj. But actually, this curse became a boon only to Chitraketu Maharaj, because since this was all happening with the intervention of the Lord, so that Chitraketu Maharaj could go back home to Godhead, he took birth as a demon as per the curse. But the lifetime in that demon's body was very short for Chitraketu Maharaj. He had taken birth as this massive, gigantic demon from the sacrificial fire of sage Twasta. And after that, he had just gone to the battlefield. He had a war with Indra, and then Indra killed him. And that was the end of that lifetime. And he attained the Lord's mercy by attaining the lotus feet of the Lord. So in disguise, it was actually a boon. The curse was a boon for Chitraketu Maharaj. And the Lord purified Chitraketu Maharaj of that little pride that he had, that he was on an equal plane with Lord Shiva. And one little thing I wanted to mention before ending is that we all also have to understand how we need to take criticism on a practical point of view. We have seen how Lord Krishna had taken criticism from Shishupal. We had seen how Lord Shiva had taken criticism from Chitraketu Maharaj. He just smiled and did not say anything and listened patiently because he knew the intent of the other person. And we saw how Chitraketu Maharaj had taken criticism from goddess Parvati, criticism in the sense of a curse. So it is told clearly in the purports that a devotee should not be impulsive. He should be as humble as a blade of grass. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi sahishnuna. So one should be as humble as a blade of grass and accept criticism as it comes. And a devotee should not be impulsive and start criticizing the other person just because he or she has criticized him. That's about it, Prabhujis and Matajis. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Dandvat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Any questions we can discuss for a couple of minutes? Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. It was a very nice class.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Dandavad Pranam.
Dandavad Pranam, Mataji. Shilpa Mataji, can we stop? I think there are no doubts. Hare Krishna. Shilpa Mataji, can we stop? Okay, Hare Krishna, Prabhujis and Matajis. Thank you so much for joining the Bhagavatam class today. I will stop the call now.
Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you. Thank you, Saraswati Mataji, for attending.
Thank you, Mataji. Dandat Pranam.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. Satya Prabhuji. I'm ending the meeting now, Prabhujis, Matajis.
Yes, Mataji.